Hi everyone, Internet PCS book reader here. Today I want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077 No Coincidence by Rafal Kosik. Cyberpunk 2077 is a game from CD Projekt Red that's known highly from their Witcher series. More specifically, the second and third game. It's a series that came from the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski. It's a really great series of books, and if you've read the book, the game itself can be said to be an unofficial sequel of the book if you followed both of them. If you haven't read or played them, I highly recommend reading the book first then play the game, but only after the remake of the first game is released, since the first game is honestly a bit janky, since that's the first game CD Projekt Red has ever done. For Cyberpunk 2077 itself, the game released in a hot mess. The game was clearly unfinished and there is so many bugs that it is basically unplayable, and even without the bugs, which is just a what if scenario at that point, some features of the game are just missing. But the game has been through so much patch after that, and then they dropped Cyberpunk Edgerunner, an anime prequel that is set in the same world and city as the one in Cyberpunk 2077, and it was such a great anime that there is a resurgence of player count to the game thanks to a certain villain from the anime that people wanted to F up in the game. This book is also a story set in the same Night City from Cyberpunk 2077 that Mike Pondsmith has established through his tabletop Cyberpunk game. The story of the book immediately starts with a messy haze saved by a fixer named Warden. He made a plan to rob a military transport by recruiting, or I should say blackmailing regular civilians with something to hide. There's Borg, the muscle of the group, a guy who's a bit too try-hard giving his wannabe tough guy act. He's someone who kept up with the latest tech upgrade and liked to show them. The opposite of him, there's Aya, an acrobatic girl who had no cybertech implants at all that can be seen. Then Ron is a Reaper dog at the wrong time and the wrong place. Milena is a corporate woman bored with her life. She's supposed to be the distraction for the group. Then there's a mysterious professional netrunner they hide from who knows where. And lastly, there's Zor, a retired something that is supposed to be the only one experienced with this kind of job. It's the usual Ocean 11 cast of character, with the netrunner being the tech guy and Zor being Ocean, the mastermind. With this heist at the start of the story, we know that the crew is not Danny Ocean's crew. They're just regular civilians that are there due to their own circumstances. They don't communicate well, they don't aim well, they don't follow the plan timing well. It's only through pure luck that they manage to get away with the heist target, the Militech truck. This start not only introduce us to the character and the life in the Night City, but also give us an excuse to follow the life of this character after the heist. Cyberpunk, if you haven't had any encounter the genre yet, is a dystopian high-tech society. The story gave off different vibes. Dread, Robocop, Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner, and 2077 all have different kinds of world. If there's any similarities in them, is that it's futuristic high-tech future where a corporation led the world while everyone else suffer from their greed. Robocop have Omnicorp, Blade Runner have Tyrell Corp, and 2077 have Militech and many other corpo. One of the things that the book is trying to nail so hard is how many advertisement is there in 2077 world. There's advertisement itself, then news, and shows that are just disguised advertisement. It's a world where everything is ads, kinda like The Rock's and many celebrities' Instagram feed, but much worse. But the book kinda overdone this. The editors here have done a better job at getting a lot of them. In the game and anime, it's easier to show instead of tell, but since this is a novel, it spends time telling them without the ability to show them, and it feels like padding quite fast. But back to the story, after the heist they return back to their own life, which is not that much of a life since they're regular citizen in a cyberpunk universe. Zor, which become the character we got the most point of view from, is working as a pest exterminator who works fuming rats and cockroaches out of building no one use. Aya, which become his love interest, is working as a pole dancer who have to deal with people wanting more than she is willing to offer. And even Albert, the mysterious netrunner, is just a kid from a poor household with a cliche trash white mom. Because of circumstances, Zor and Aya was fired from their jobs, and they meet with Ron, who wanted a new, more expensive arm that could help him become a better Reaper dog. He could save more lives that way, or at least that's what they keep telling themselves. And somehow they managed to recruit everybody back, including Milena, the bored woman who worked a well-paid job in Militech, and the very useless Borg who so obviously will become a problem for everyone else. They went ahead and did another heist and again got very lucky and somehow managed to get the item they're looking for even with some problems. But since it's an impromptu job with no fixer and no time to plan ahead, they leave much more mess than their first heist, and not only that, they don't have someone to sell a stolen good and no one to clean up all the mess. To make matter worse, the place they did the heist belonged to the area of a well-known crime syndicate, the Maelstrom. To put it into perspective, they're a gang that you could find a game, so they're not just some random game. They sent Dum Dum, also a named NPC from the game. The first one, the Maelstrom God, is bored, because obviously he is the weakest link. The act of bravado is not fooling anyone, let alone an actual gang member. He spilled everything, even things that Doom did not ask for, and from the information they got from Borg, they started to close in on the other member of the impromptu Game of Thieves. And the solution they have might just be another heist. Now is third time is the charm, or if their luck finally runs out, just like many story in the Night City. The story is actually interesting. I would recommend the book just from the overall plot alone. Unfortunately, the character writing is slightly lacking, but the little part that is lacking had a bigger impact on the overall story. The story is told by jumping rapidly from one character perspective to another each couple sentences, and it's not always done well or with purpose at all. The main cast of the crew itself is already a lot, but they're not the only people we see. We also see a lot of other characters' perspective. Just to name a few, we have Warden, the fixer from the first heist, Dum Dum, the Maelstrom member, both I've mentioned before, but we also have some random detectives named Liam, which have too much screen time from what they bring to the story, which is only more lore like how pigs in Night City is corrupt, which we already know from context since it's a dystopia and not much else. And we're not even talking about the random ads and radio program and some obtusely convoluted storyline that just repeat itself over and over again, like the one Albert the Netrunner had, which is him figuring out how to transfer his consciousness to the internet. This is repeated so often that it got eye-rollingly repetitive on about the third time, and as a result of all of this, some of the entries to the story really feels like filler. It also gets really annoying when the story we followed actually matter for both the plot and the character. But then before that plot line is finished, it was interjected with these random fillers before we get back to the interesting part. The story itself, I think it's fine. I will even say great, as I said. It's just trying to put so much into it. Every character needs their own character arc, and not all of them are cooked to the point of it being good. It's jack of all trades, master of none, which is a shame because a lot of the book are really interesting. And because the characters are missing a lot of depth, as a result, their chemistry become worse. It's missing that human connection that make us care about the characters in the game and in the anime. Some of them felt really rushed, especially the romantic couple like Zor with Aya and Ron with Milena. They just met and fall in love with not enough time spent in the development of their chemistry. One of the biggest reasons why after Cyberpunk Edgerunner aired, there is a massive jump in the player count of the game, both by people that don't like the initial release of the game and people that wanted to re-experience the game again. It's not just because they care about the characters as individuals in that anime, but also them as a couple. Not just David and Lucy, but David and Lucy, you know what I mean? Their chemistry works like that because we see them develop over the course of the anime. Time which the book didn't have because it's putting too much into too many things. Some of these characters are even still stuck in very tropey characters because they didn't have the time to be fleshed out, while somehow also taking too much screen time at the same time. Screen time which can be spent better. And unfortunately, unlike the game that has since been patched to the point of it being a good game, the story in this book will never be patched. This is it, forever. Which is a shame since I honestly think it just needs a slight bit of cleanup so the story can focus more on its characters. So from what we got, I give this a 3.25. What do you think? Let me know if I missed anything, leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it.